Hello, my name is Philip Harrelson. I'd like to welcome you back again to the Barnabas study. And it's drawing on toward the end of the year, so I'm going to kind of use this video maybe to stimulate some ideas in front of you. Long-time reader, I think if you've been around me for any length of time, you know that. And it's been probably sometime in the mid-90s or so, I kind of worked on a little goal, and that was that I would take a particular figure in history, and usually it was a historical figure of some kind, of some sorts, and I would read biographies about that particular person. And in years past, I've read things about Abraham Lincoln, several biographies about Lincoln, several biographies Winston Churchill. Another year I read several books about Douglas MacArthur and some of the things that took place in the Pacific Theater for World War II. And then I've read another year, and this bled over probably into 2 years, I read a lot of stuff about Martin Luther King and Jr. and about the civil rights movement. And so the other day, it's been probably 6 or 8 months ago, maybe a year ago, I asked myself the question, and that's this: what if I was to take a year and just read as many biographies about the life of Jesus that I could? And obviously the impact that the Lord's had on my life, and if you're watching this video, I'm certain you would say the same thing. But what if you spent 2024 with just kind of that mindset that you were going to read as many biographies about Jesus, and then of course you incorporate the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John into that? What kind of person would you be by the end of 2024? So with that in mind, I'm going to recommend some books to you here today. Now, these books are written by David Limbaugh, and David Limbaugh is the late Rush Limbaugh's brother, and he's a lawyer, nationally syndicated columnist with the Creators Syndicate, political commentary. He's written some bestsellers, and the books that I am going to talk to you about today have been just a very good blessing to me. And I have to be honest with you, I found them in a discount book. It was Ollie's, actually, is what it was, but places like Big Lots that sells overstocks. And I bought, this actually was the first one that I bought. It was called Jesus on Trial. And it's just kind of on a whim, a lawyer affirms the gospel, or the truth of the gospel. And I started this was the first one that I got, and kind of initially just kind of scanned through it. And then I started kind of digging in once I realized that this was not just a book to scan, but it was a book that was really loaded with a lot of information that was in it. I've highlighted several places, underlined places in it. I wrote a lot of notes in the margin of this particular one, Jesus on Trial. Here's some of the things that the book flap says: abundant evidence that the Bible is the most historically reliable text among all ancient writings. Sometimes people lose sight of that, but I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but the Bible actually has more evidence of reliable past texts than even some of the writings of Homer, various Socrates, people like that. And Limbaugh brings that out. Now, he's not the only one that I've heard mention that before. Skeptics of the Bible really love to say that the Bible has errors, contradictions, etc., so forth. And yet we have more evidence for Scripture than a lot of the ancient writings that are taught even in places of higher education. So this book, Jesus on Trial, again, from skeptic to believer. He has chapter 2, chapter 3, aha moments, part 1 and 2. Chapters 4 and 5, the paradoxes of Christianity. Chapter 6, Jesus Christ, fully human, fully divine. And chapters 7, 8, and 9, and 10 is talking about the amazing Bible. Its unity, its prophecy, its reliability and internal evidence, its reliability and external evidence. And so anyways, there are 4 books. This one is called Jesus on Trial. This one is called The True Jesus. And then this one right here is called the Emmaus Code. This is discovering Jesus in the Old Testament. And then here is one, and that's called Finding Jesus in the Old Testament. And then this is the one that I have most recently gotten. I have not read it yet, so I'm kind of judging the book by its cover and from my interaction with these previous books. But this one is called Jesus is Risen, Paul and the Early Church. And again, from just thumbing through it, looking at it, he kind of goes through some of the accounts in the book of Acts and then moves into the rest of the interweavings between the Gospels, primarily 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, and then Romans. So he doesn't cover all of the epistles, but I would, again, these books, especially if you start looking toward, I know it's around the Christmas season now, but we'll next thing you know, it'll be Easter. And in some of your preparation for just kind of devotional reading, maybe you could check out these books, because I do think it would be a benefit to you. And again, what would happen to us if we actually knew or just decided that we were going to spend some time with biography about the Lord in 2024? What kind of impact would it have on, first of all, on us personally and spiritually, and then for those that we're involved in, that we are preaching, ministering to, praying for? What kind of impact would it have on their lives if we really knew who Jesus was? So with that in mind, I'll invite you back again. Certainly appreciate you stopping by and watching this video. And until the next time, the Lord bless.